Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
And we begin tonight with the latest from Parkland, Florida, where thousands gathered to remember the victims of yesterday's school shooting.
17 people were killed, 14 others injured when former student Nicholas Cruz opened fire at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Tonight, the superintendent says they are not going to let this tragedy define them.
This week, we saw the worst in humanity. Tomorrow, we are going to see the best in humanity. We're going to see what defines Parkland. It's not this tragedy. It's going to be how we come together to recover from this tragedy.
And in fact, they're already working toward that aim. Several vigils, prayer services, also a prayer walk are scheduled to be held around Broward County, Florida tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Cruz was charged today with 17 counts of premeditated murder. A motive remains unclear, but investigators say he was expelled from the school last year for disciplinary reasons. Parents are asking, is my child's school prepared to handle such a threat like this?
Our Jermont Terry did some digging today and found some local schools do have programs in place that could help. Jermont.
Devin and Kimberly, in this day and age where so many people believe that Big Brother is watching, here at the Roseville Police Department, they have the ability to see what's going on in and outside all 12 schools in the district and in the city as well. Now, we should also point out, while this seems like a no-brainer, it turns out that every school district throughout southeastern Michigan does not grant police access to this video. Every parent wants to make sure their child is safe in the classroom.
When we were growing up, the schools was the one safe place.
But in today's times, schools have proven to be just as dangerous as anywhere.
My heart sinks every time I hear about something like this for these schools.
It leaves those with children and grandchildren like Darlene Dolan uneasy.
That something's going to happen to them.
There's a person walking right. And people typically use that for foot travel to get between, say...
Over at the Roseville PD, officers go a step further than just patrols. The district allows the department access to every security camera in the hallways, cafeteria, and even the parking lots.
In the case of emergency, we can take control of those cameras and relay first real-time information to our officers.
And no matter the concern, officers can see what they're walking into and where the threat is in real time.
And with that speed and response, hopefully casualties or whatever the fear is can be mitigated much quicker.
I'm going to find out if my grandson's school has it.
A quick check found every school district does not grant police access. Roseville PD is allowed live monitors 24/7. Troy Police can access 24/7, but monitors only in emergencies and only certain officers can watch. Royal Oak and Centerline Police Departments can also monitor in emergency situations.
They may catch them before it happens if they're, watching the cameras.
I would highly recommend, I think every district should have this capability.
Now, if you're concerned about your privacy or Big Brother watching, those cameras, security cameras, are only installed in public places, not restrooms, not locker rooms inside the schools. Now, interesting enough, Roseville PD, they've had access to this video for nearly a decade now. Reporting live tonight, Jermont Terry, Local 4.
Jermont, I'm wondering, is there a cost incurred here? Is this expensive for departments to access?
Devin, interesting enough, the chief here in Roseville tells us essentially if you have access to internet, which most police departments do, it's costing you nothing. But the big key here is that the school districts have to grant and allow these police departments access to these security cameras, and every district isn't on board with that.
Yeah. All right, Jermont. Well, the Florida school shooting is raising more questions about gun ownership here in Michigan, from who can own a gun to where you can carry it. We've put together a list of guidelines on clickondetroit.com. It's in the top stories section of our website.
Road crews have been out trying to patch potholes, but our nonstop rain all day and those warmer temperatures have opened up some monsters, some of which are devouring our cars. Mara McDonald is live in Southfield tonight, and Mara, some of these are now qualifying as craters.
Well, Kimberly, can I interest you in a hubcap? We have a pretty good selection out here tonight after a rather exceptional pothole has opened up on 8 Mile near Maple Ridge.
If I can spare one person, not have damaged tires like my son's car, it'd be well worth it. You know it's bad when everyday drivers are resorting to being their own patching crews, but that's exactly what Bill Campbell is doing tonight, trying to push as much mud and gravel into this hole on 8 Mile to prevent this.
I think I heard it at first, but I just knew it was starting to sway more to the right, so I just had to get off the road.
The younger Campbell was on the way home from college tonight when the crater that's opened up on 8 Mile ate not one, but 2 of his tires. He called his dad for a ride.
Here comes one right now. There it is.
That hole has already been patched, but it's disintegrated into a roadway menace. $135 for the tow, and 2 tires later, Campbell says this evening has cost him about $435.
Oh, we need better roads, but that's all part of the infrastructure over the years, and I've lived in Michigan all my life, but the last 10 years have been a big problem.
Back here live, I hate to admit our live truck actually hit that big crater there. We're lucky that we didn't blow a tire. The bottom line is it's the season for these things, and we're all going to have to be more aware out here because they are everywhere. We're live in Southfield. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Well, right now on clickondetroit.com, what do you do if your vehicle is damaged by a pothole? Do you qualify for a claim? What damage should you check for? It's all there on the traffic page of clickondetroit.com.
Emergency patch crews are going to be back at it tomorrow. Eastbound I-696 from DeQuinder to Mound will only have the left lane open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. That will certainly affect the morning drive. Southbound I-75 from Coolidge to Crooks will only have the right lane open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And southbound US 24 near Square Lake will have only the 2 right lanes open from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. All that work, though, of course, dependent upon the weather conditions.
So, Ben, it's all on you, buddy.
So this is where I come in and
Exactly.
say, you know what, though, temperature-wise, not doing potholes any favors because we were so warm, getting cold tonight, and we're starting that process.
That cycle over and over.
Yep, sub-freezing temperatures tonight. The good news is we've gotten the fog out of here, at least the really bad stuff. Dense fog advisory is since expired for the entire area. There's still some noticeable fog out here, but these visibilities much better than what we were looking at earlier. Lowest numbers we're getting down in Monroe are 4 miles, which is just fine for travel. Now, as far as the rain goes, still a couple showers just brushing our south zone. These are almost out of here. Once we get past midnight, we should be dry everywhere, and then we start waiting for the clouds to clear. So a sun-filled Friday ahead, but look at where these temperatures go. Usually we see our lows right about this time, but those numbers continue dropping. We'll see a low of 26 at about 10 a.m. in the morning, and not much recovery beyond that. We'll look at that, plus some snow in the forecast finally. That's all coming up in a few minutes, guys.
Okay, Ben. Just in tonight, John Conyers III has officially announced he'll be running for his father's seat in Congress, representing Michigan's 13th congressional district. Conyers retired in December. His nephew, State Senator Ian Conyers, is also running for his seat. The move now sets up a Conyers versus Conyers primary.
After more than a year of negotiations, teachers at Utica Community Schools have finally agreed to a new contract. It includes wage and benefits concessions, a first for the district. District says teachers made sacrifices in pay to preserve programs for students and stabilize district finances, too. Over the past 5 years, the district's budget has decreased from $42 million. It's been cut in half to $21 million. The new contract set to expire in June of 2019.
Residents in Shelby Township are on edge tonight after a recent string of break-ins. Shelby Township police are looking for this man who they believe may be responsible for the crimes. The most recent break-in was this week when a man broke into a home while the family was inside. A neighbor caught the suspect on camera. She posted the video on social media to warn her neighbors. If you know who the man is or have any information, call police. The east and westbound lanes of M59 ramps to I-79 are back open tonight.
Yeah, cleanup crews spent most of the day cleaning from a semi-crash that happened yesterday. A gravel hauler carrying waste rolled over on the highway, causing that waste to spill. The right lane of northbound 75 was also closed, but that has since reopened. New tonight, the feds in New York foil an alleged bomb plot by a teacher.
A Michigan high school evacuated after staff makes a disturbing discovery inside a locker. How a school project caused concern and why there was confusion.
But first, cleared of the crime and back on the job, but a local officer's wife says something is still missing.
But just to see someone that you love go through such a difficult time when it seems so unnecessary.
What she wants in return for what her family has been through. The defenders are next.
Let the As Seen on TV product test begin on Local 4 News today. See what we're testing now.
A doormat that claims to catch all the mess.
Tomorrow at 6 a.m.
He's a Dearborn police officer who was charged with a sex crime but found not guilty in court.
And tonight, Corporal Justin Smith is back on the job, but his wife says something crucial is still missing. She tells Defender Kevin Dietz her family deserves a public apology for the emotional and financial hardship they've endured.
This is the police dashcam video that saved a police officer's career. Justin Smith was accused of groping a woman during a traffic stop. She said the Dearborn officer fondled her breast after pulling her over. The video shows Smith's arm reaching into the car for less than 2 seconds. Smith, who has a wife and 5 small children, was suspended without pay and charged with a sex crime.
There was nothing evident on the video or otherwise that would have implicated my client in criminal activity.
Smith pleaded not guilty and went to trial. His attorney, Greg Roll, says the prosecutor never should have issued charges.
He has no wages. He has to live with this over his head, a cloud over his head. People looking at him differently. And the whole reality is the victim is not a true victim.
The judge saw the videotape and listened to the witness and found out she knew Officer Smith well from a local diner she worked at.
While I'm driving next to the vehicle, I see the person using the phone and I recognize who the person is.
And that the waitress is dating a different Dearborn police officer who had been feuding with Smith. The judge acquitting the officer of all charges.
So I'm finding the defendant not guilty of count 1, not guilty of count 2. This matter is dismissed and the defendant is discharged.
Smith was free to go, but the damage was done. When he was suspended without pay, the family had to move, living with different relatives for months at a time. The 5 children had to go without.
It's been very emotional. I've been very angry, to be honest, not only because of the impact in our household, but just to see someone that you love go through such a difficult time when it seems so unnecessary.
Both Officer Smith and his wife feel that the department should have looked at the evidence and realized this was no crime. Instead, they pushed for charges and stripped him of his paycheck, even though other officers in the department involved in shootings were suspended with pay.
And they were never suspended without pay. But yet still a person whose credibility is in question can come into the station and make a complaint against an officer who's been there for 6.5 years and never had a complaint of this type. And without it being substantiated, you can suspend him without pay. It was just disgusting to me.
Officer Smith says he knew if the justice system worked properly, he would be acquitted. He had to go to trial.
And I'm going to fight, especially for what's right. And I teach my children that, you have to fight and you have to stand up for what's right.
But it was stressful knowing that if he lost, he would lose his job and freedom. A sexual assault charge would have landed him in prison.
You never know, because this could be a racial issue. I have a black African-American corporal, and there's a white victim. So who knows how that plays out.
Justin Smith was acquitted and he's back at work, but his wife says something very important is still missing, an apology.
For them to accelerate such heinous charges and to have him in a position where he has no pay and he has a family. We just had a child, she's only 2 months old.
Officer Smith will receive back pay for the time of his suspension, but there is little that can be done for his pain and suffering. He says what's most important, he is back to work at the job he loves doing. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.
Well, late this afternoon, we received a comment from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Assistant Prosecutor Maria Miller says this case was charged because we believe that a crime was committed that we could prove beyond a reasonable doubt. It was presented into the court during a bench trial, and the defendant was found not guilty. We respect the trial judge's verdict, but do not have to agree with it.
Loved having the warmer temperatures today, but the fog we could do without, and the nasty snow.
It's pretty soupy, but although that's hiding some of the nasty snow.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And there's still some of that out there. The thing we're going to have to watch in the morning is the ice, because we had all the melting snow, we had the rainfall,
right,
and that's all going to freeze to
come. Yep.
But it's not quite yet. In fact, with those temperatures today, we did not see an hour below freezing. We started at 35, we finished at 45, and we will stay above 32 until a little bit closer to daybreak. But once we get back below that mark, we're going to stay there through the day on Fridays. We've got a little bit of some colder air that we still have to get through, but well above the averages for this time of year. 35 and 21 is what we would normally see on a day like today. And it looks like, well, first of all, it's good to see the skyline again after the fog sort of took parts of it away earlier tonight. But the lights are on and it looks brilliant out there. 40 degrees, the current temperature. We do have a little bit of a wind, so the wind chills are back. Feels like 37. And we will be seeing wind chills in the teens at times as we head towards the upcoming weekend. So don't get too used to those mild temperatures just yet. However, they are coming back in the 7-day forecast, and they have taken a toll on Frosty. We got this very cool picture in on how the snowman has survived the warm temperatures. Looks great here, all dressed up, smiling, ready to go, and then just sort of loses it as those temperatures take hold, and there is not much left of old Frosty by the time we got into today's mid-40-degree highs. But we did not get the warmest air in the area. In fact, you go south of us, and at 11 o'clock, these are current temperatures. It is close to 60 in Indy and Columbus. Pittsburgh's at 62. And it's almost 70 degrees in the nation's capital as of right now at 11 o'clock tonight. So it's been mild all over the place, but you can see there's another push of cold air that's just waiting to get its hands on us, and it will later on tomorrow. As far as the rain goes, it is almost out of here. There's some snow back on the other side of the lake. Not going to be an issue for us just yet, but we could see a few flakes as we get into the weekend. Cold air gets reinforced tomorrow as another frontal boundary goes through. So again, we're going to see our lows right around 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're not going to warm up all that much, maybe a few degrees by the time we hit our highs. High pressure settles in for the start of the weekend, and the daylight hours both Saturday and Sunday are looking dry, but Saturday evening we're going to get a front through here, and that could scare up a few snow showers. We are not looking for any accumulation out of this, so it's just a friendly reminder from Mother Nature, hey, it's still February, but we won't have to deal with any accumulating snow for at least the next 10 days. How about that? Let's look at temperatures to start out tomorrow morning. Remember, lows coming later, but we'll be stepping out the door to 27 degrees in the city. And South Zone still looking at mid to upper 20s for our temperatures again at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. A little bit colder here in our West Zone. Remember, that cold front sweeps in from the northwest, so it'll get a little bit of a head start here in Genesee County, where we're looking at 23 for the start tomorrow morning. North Zone anywhere between 24 in Rochester Hills and Macomb to 22 in Lexington and Sandusky tomorrow morning. Otherwise, our high temperatures will only get to 32, so we are going to spend almost that entire day below freezing and only maybe an hour or so right at 32. Plenty of sunshine once we get past some early clouds tomorrow, and that 7-day forecast starts marching the numbers back up. 40 by Sunday, close to 50 by Monday, and we'll get to 53 on Tuesday. A lot of rain coming on Monday and Tuesday, so we'll be watching for possible flooding concerns by then.
And watch for the ice tomorrow morning.
Yep, be careful.
Okay. Well, businesses love customers who come back unless they're up to no good. This woman's terrifying experience was caught on camera.
But first, a high school teacher in New York accused of paying students to help him make a bomb. How he was busted, next.
The Detroit
New York City police arrest a former high school teacher and his brother in connection with a possible bomb plot. Christian and Tyler Toro are charged with a number of offenses, including unlawfully making an explosive. Police were alerted after former students came forward saying Christian Toro offered to pay students to dismantle fireworks for the gunpowder inside. Authorities said the brothers have never been on their radar, and they are trying to figure out their motive.
A brutal attack at a massage spa in California is caught on camera. Security footage here shows the massage therapist trying to close the door as a suspect pushes through. He then begins to beat her with his gun. The victim tries to run to the back door, but the suspect shoves her and begins to choke her. The suspect finally lets go and runs away. Police believe this was not his first attack.
Interesting day over in Grand Rapids. A school there was evacuated this morning after school officials found what they thought were Molotov cocktails at a locker. A student alerted staff about finding the items. Well, the principal ordered an evacuation as a precaution. Turns out the items were actually part of a World War I project. The reason for the confusion, though, both the student who was doing the project and the teacher who had assigned it were both out sick.
It had to be so scary in the wake of everything that's
after what's been
going on.
exactly.
Yeah. Another celebrity couple is calling it quits. Actress Jennifer Aniston and her husband of 2 years, Justin Theroux, have announced their separation. The couple released a statement saying the split was mutual and was made at the end of last year. Aniston and Theroux married in August of 2015 after dating for 4 years. They say they will continue to love and respect one another.
There's a lot of guys thinking she's out
available.
there again.